Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about Lazarus and the resurrection. So from Genesis to Revelation, if you don't know by now, the Bible is a multi-layered master guide to the process of spiritual awakening. When read through an esoteric lens, which just means secret lens, the story of Lazarus reveals a profound truth about the inner journey of the soul. Those who seek deeper understanding, so the eyes to see and the ears to hear, find that the scriptures speak in a love language that comes to life uniquely in each person's heart, a language of symbols that guides the initiate forward toward personal transformation and ultimately divine union. The story of Lazarus is found in John 11 verses 1 to 44. So straight off the bat, we have some very significant numerology there. And this is one of the most profound miracles performed by Jesus. The metaphysical meaning of the name Lazarus is God has helped. Immediately, this name suggests divine intervention and spiritual assistance. Lazarus is a man from Bethany. Bethany is known as a place of suffering, and metaphysically it's known as the place of crossings. So in the body, Bethany refers to the cross of the vagus nerve near the cerebellum in the brain. And that is the place of alchemical transmutation and of energetic refinery in the body. And in the story, Lazarus falls gravely ill, and his sisters, Mary and Martha, send word asking Jesus to come and heal Lazarus. Mary and Martha are interesting symbols. They signify the spiritual versus the material consciousness. Mary represents spiritual consciousness. She's just happy to rest in Jesus's presence and learn from the divine I am, from the higher mind. Whereas Martha, on the other hand, represents material consciousness. She's the one who fights to do everything in her own strength. She can't get any rest. She's just stuck in this carnal mentality. And this also parallels what Hilton Hotema refers to as black Kundalini, material consciousness, and white Kundalini, which is spiritual consciousness. It's actually the harmonizing of both of these aspects that initiates the alchemical wedding, meaning that the biochemical upgrades driven by the pineal and pituitary glands in the body can be secreted for that overall regeneration and enlightenment experience. So in the story, Mary and Martha beckon Jesus to come and help Lazarus. Jesus, of course, is the Je suis, the I am, the highest divine consciousness that comes to help Lazarus. But by the time Jesus arrives in Bethany, Scripture says that Lazarus has already been dead for 4 days. Now, 4 days can actually be viewed as parallel to 3.5 days. The time that Jesus spent in the tomb and the 3.5 coils of the Kundalini energy, all of these ideas resonate with one another, because the 4th day is also equal to 3 whole days plus some fraction of the current or 4th day. So this is a nod to the sacred secretion time phase. Another parallel to this time frame is seen in Revelation 11, 9 to 11, again, significant numerology there, where the 2 witnesses are described as being dead for 3.5 days before being resurrected by the breath of God. And the two witnesses also echo Mary and Martha, which also echoes the Ida and Pingala nadis, the black and white Kundalini, and the death of that inner polarity, of that inner conflict. Next, Martha, so the material consciousness, meets Jesus, the I Am super consciousness, and expresses both faith and sorrow by saying, "Lord, if only you'd been here, my brother wouldn't have died." But Jesus assures her that Lazarus will rise again, declaring, "I am the resurrection and the life." Then scripture tells us that Jesus began to cry, illustrating the fact that awakening the hidden, dormant life within us is not an easy process. Higher consciousness must connect with and uplift the lower self through love and understanding in order to bring about the transformation. Crying is a very sincere, very impulsive, powerful, and connective prayer. It has the ability to shift timelines because it's a surrender. But in the story, love and sympathy alone aren't enough. There's a barrier that needs to be removed. So then Jesus says, "Take away the stone." The stone in question has many layers of interpretation. First, it represents our belief that the physical world and its limitations are absolute, like the stone on Jesus's tomb. It's the mindset that says this is just how things are. To experience spiritual awakening, though, we have to break through that mental block and have faith that higher spiritual reality actually exists, which of course it does, because everything comes from divine mind. And Charles Fillmore says this raising of Lazarus is performed every day by those who are putting on the new Christ body. So this means if we truly want to awaken our inner life, we must believe in the power of spirit and take action through prayer and align ourselves with the unseen but ever-present divine, with limitless potential and unconditional love. And that's what opens the door, or the stone, to spiritual awareness, revealing a deeper reality beyond what we think we know. A truth that the soul hadn't maybe realized before fully. The stone, like we said, is also parallel with the rolling stone of the tomb that reveals Jesus' own resurrection. A mystic interpretation of the rolling stone relates to the moon cycle, which visually resembles a stone rolling away to reveal light. And Carey related the rolling stone to the 12th thoracic vertebrae of the spine, which he called the center of the body. Gilgal, a circle or rolling away, the place where the 12 stones were set up, the place of the Passover, refers in anatomy to the 12th thoracic vertebrae, at which place the semi-lunar ganglion connects. At this point, the seed or arc enters Jordan or the spinal cord. So in other words, T12 is the place where the solar plexus meets the spinal cord via the semi-lunar or half-moon ganglion. In the sacred secretion process, T12 is where the higher forces raise a portion of the seed up the spinal cord, and the lower forces pull the seed down toward the lower centers. That seed has both spiritual and material potential. Material potential for procreativity, making new life, babies, etc., and spiritual potential for divine ideas, inspiration, motivation, connection, and realizing our true identity and our true worth and our true capabilities. After Jesus has commanded the stone to roll away, he calls out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth." And miraculously, Lazarus emerges alive and restored. So the story of Lazarus rising from the dead is a direct metaphor for the awakening of dormant energy, cellular regeneration, and DNA alterations within the body. His resurrection from the tomb parallels the ascent of spiritual energy from the root chakra, associated with the cube and material consciousness, up to the crown, associated with the sphere and spiritual consciousness, which of course triggers the release of the immortal soma, the resurrection substance, into the body. Superconsciousness, I am, Jesus, je suis, faithfully saying, "Come forth, Lazarus," highlights the power of the word, of creative sound vibrations, to arouse mind energy to the extent that the physical body becomes immersed in healing life. And before we close, I'd like to take a brief look at Rudolf Steiner's perspective, which is very interesting. So Steiner interprets the resurrection of Lazarus not as just a literal revival from physical death, but as an esoteric initiation. Lazarus undergoes a 3.5-day death-like sleep, a process typical of ancient mystery schools, perhaps similar to today's dark room technique. During those 3.5 days, the neophyte's etheric body is said to be separated from the physical so that spiritual experiences can be imprinted onto it. If you've had any experience with dark room technique, I'd be very interested to hear your comments. But of course, this all can happen without taking such extreme measures as well. So in conclusion, the story of Lazarus is a profound testament to both the literal resurrection and the inner glory of resurrection. On the surface, it reveals Christ as the all-powerful healer, the metaphysician, the divine manifester that can demonstrate mastery over death itself. By resurrecting Lazarus, Christ showed himself as that divine being, that connected being who knew that material reality is just illusion, and he tapped into the ability to change things. And of course, then the inner meanings, as we've seen in this video, work in tandem with them, because you can't have the outer expression of life without the inner expression of life. These things are in tandem processes. The wonderful thing about the secret meaning is that it illustrates how we can resurrect life within us. Hope, joy, abundance, all of these wonderful things. The story of Lazarus in that way is like an invitation to all of us to transcend the limitations of the flesh, to raise our own sacred life force through sacred secretion practices and embody the eternal Christ consciousness within our own minds. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching. Please do leave your comments below. I love reading them. And as always, the links to my books, courses, and other resources can be found in the description box below this video. May divine love manifest itself in you all. Always and in all ways. Namaste.